Hello, gamers. I am officially done with patch 3.26 Mercenaries of Trarthus in Path of Exile 1. And I just wanted to quickly snapshot the character at the end of my playthrough to show what I've accomplished and how it goes. After this, some B-roll will be playing with some T17 map gameplay, just in case you want to see what gameplay looks like. I'll also probably throw in some bosses and some other content along with it. So this is a character that was heavily based on Palsterun's Explosive Arrow Elementalist League starter. I pushed it way past the point and made it pretty strong. So I'll just go over the primary pieces of gear that I have. I'm not going to go over the core mechanics of the build. If you are interested in that, definitely go take a look at Palsterun's videos on the topic. I think he uploaded 3 or 4 of them at the beginning of the league. The first thing that looks odd, probably, to someone who's familiar with the build, is that this is not a Dyadian Dawn. This is a Mage Blood. And that's kind of significant. Dyadian Dawn is a belt. Do I have one laying around? Thought I did. I think I disenchanted it. Alright, that's fine. Anyway, Dyadian Dawn is a belt that provides a fair bit... That provides an affix that makes Ignite deal damage faster, which is important because that's how this build does damage, through Ignites via Explosive Arrow. And losing that is a massive damage loss. So if I wanted to run a Mage Blood, I had to replace that in some way, shape, or form. And that's where this Timeless Jewel comes in. This Lethal Pride changes a lot of these notable passive skills to increase the burning damage and make Ignites deal damage 10% faster. I think I have 1, 2... Yeah, I've got 2 of them. So from here, I got 20%. And then 20% increased burning damage. So that's how I chose to solve that problem. In addition, since the build uses a lot of golems in the build, I did a couple of things to that link. I have Chaos, Flame, Stone, and Lightning. I have a level 4 Empower, and then I also have a level 4 Enhance. With the goal of getting the golem buffs to be as strong as possible. Increasing them through levels, and then also increasing them through quality. Because the buff effect is the quality for all of them. And then I also have 20 increased effective golems from the chest, increased effective golems from this wheel right here. These golems are doing a lot for my build. What else is interesting? Oh, yeah. Okay, so the original guide uses a Widowhail, and I was using that for a while. But I decided to not... I decided to switch out of that and create and craft a Hunter Quiver instead. Actually, did I craft this one? I don't remember. I think I did. Yeah, this was a while ago. But this bow... This bow is absolutely stupid. This was made with Essence Slams, I think. Right? I'm pretty sure this was Essence Slams. Yeah. I did the Essence of Dread to guarantee +2 socketed bow gems. Until I somehow I hit a usable result and crafted this in 10 or 13 slams. It was fast. I was like, what the fuck is this? So that was really awesome. I crafted this bow myself. That was pretty cool. Mage Blood flasks are not perfect, but I did hit some pretty nice results. I got move speed, curse effect, evasion, and armor. So that's pretty nice. Another thing I decided to do was since Palsterun's guide was kind of made with kind of ignoring the Mercenaries mechanic, I decided to play around with that a little bit on my own. And I ended up with this Watcher's Eye. This helps with armor. It gives me phasing, and it helps with onslaught uptime. The onslaught uptime is not really necessary because one of the key parts of the build is this notable on a totem damage wheel, and it gives onslaught for 4 seconds every time I summon a totem, which is basically all the time. What else is interesting? Oh yeah, I decided to go with this because I had some extra points after reaching level 100, just for more buff effect. It's pretty nice. Oh yeah, let's talk about the Mercenary. I think the Mercenary is the most interesting part of the build. So for the longest time, I was using a Flame Quiver with a Zoph's Inception unique bow to stack as much ignite chance on its burning arrow as possible. And that was to make this Polaric Devastation, like, apply Ash on hit. I eventually pivoted off of that once I found a Kineticist that had haste. And this is like the third unique Kineticist I've recruited. This is the best one I've found so far. It has Barrage with multiple projectiles and a Kinetic Blast. Its goal is not to deal a lot of damage, although it does do a fair bit of damage. But its goal is to apply elemental ailments for me. It will... Yep, I have Leadership anointed on this Defiance of Destiny. For a while, for almost the entire playthrough, I was using either a Shaper's Seed or a Ignomon before I tattooed this blind thing over here to try to like get some value out of that. But once I started farming T17 maps, I noticed my Mercenary was dying a lot. So I was like, all right, screw it. You don't get to die anymore. And I bought a mid-level Defiance of Destiny. Like, the rolls are not great on this thing. Like, I mean, they're fantastic. They're just not perfect. And I anointed Leadership to increase its area of effect of the haste, makes it impossible for me to walk out of, and it makes the haste stronger. For a very long time, I was using Carcass Jack as the chest piece here, which was really nice for the increased area and just to like solve a few defensive problems when I was playing lower level content. But again, once I hit T17 maps, I was like, shit, okay, these enemies lower my action speed a lot. How can I stop this? And it turns out just throwing a Garb of the Ephemeral on there makes it so nearby allies' action speeds cannot be modified below base value. So that's pretty nice. And it also let me run high levels of crit in T17 without too much trouble. Now, one of the problems with Kineticist is that they can't roll added fire, which means that on a base level, they cannot inflict ignite, which is a problem. Because the whole point of Polaric Devastation is that when they ignite, you cover them in ash. So what I decided to do instead is to run a Stormfire. Stormfire makes it so lightning damage can ignite, which makes all of this damage able to inflict ignite, which is pretty cool. Yiffleban's Trickery. I was actually not expecting to get as much value out of this as I did. But, like, on enemies that, like, do a lot of damage, like bosses that I'm fighting, anytime they hit the Mercenary, they get a random curse. And when that hits Enfeeble or, like, Punishment, like a really nice generic curse, that made things a hell of a lot easier. Replica of Victario's Charity was really excellent. I'm super happy I decided to do this one. It increases the effect of the haste, gives it a little bit of chaos res, and most importantly, it generates endurance charges for me, which made me very, very tanky. Down here, there's nothing too special. Calm's Binding shifts some damage to fire, Legacy of Fury applies Scorch, and Southbound makes sure that I'm the one that kills it, right? Your hits can only kill frozen enemies, means that all the item rarity that I have just laying around on this gear makes it possible for me to actually land the killing blow 100% of the time. The increased max life and added damage is pretty nice too. So that's the Merc. I'm really happy with this. I was kind of like playing around with some Magic Find stuff, But overall, I didn't really enjoy like running this one. I really missed the haste and like all that stuff. I couldn't really figure this one out. So unfortunately, this one never really worked out. Although this untouched soul is really cool. Like if you take a look at this, I basically just put as many red sockets on this as I possibly could. That was pretty fun. What else is on this character that's noteworthy and worth talking about? The Dragonfang's Flight with Explosive Arrow. I was kind of like tossing around the idea of running in Ashes. That probably would have been pretty cool, but ultimately I settled on this because of the way you scale Explosive Arrow is by giving it levels. And with all the bullshit I got up to, I successfully scaled it all the way up to level 32. So that's pretty nice. If you're curious on details for the character, I will be putting the snapshot of the POV as it is right now in the description, so you can check that out. I'll make sure to configure it so that it actually reflects the damage this character is able to output. That's all the words I have to say. So have a great one. I'll see you guys next league, and enjoy the random clips I'm going to throw at the end of this.
putrefy, rot, spoil, and fester.
Exile, do something!
forces you barely comprehend.
I don't know what the fuck that was.